Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you to the show. This is a live edition with Mr. Nasiir, Brother Nasiir. Welcome to the show, Brother Nasiir.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yes, sir, brother. Look, this segment is out of the tunnel into the light. We're going to take you through the daunting task of securing high-profile individuals and also mental self-defense on how to prepare your mind to be as powerful as your physical body, right? And I'm glad to have you on the show. As we go into this segment, Brother Nasiir, just give them a rundown on the power of the mind.
Well, brother, I mean, the power of the mind, it speaks for itself. I mean, there's nothing in existence that wouldn't be here without the mind, without forming an image of it in your mind. There is nothing.
That's a fact, brother. But let's go walk, brother.
Yes, sir.
Make this thing happen. Out of the tunnel, we into the light.
Yes, sir.
Verbal Pick Radio. So yeah, bro. So in this wild, busy world that we live in, right? And by these techniques of mental self-defense and applying it to your art and utilizing your skills to make sure that other people are secure, whether it be someone running for any type of public office or entertainers or actors or whatnot. Name some of the people that you personally secured, and I think I can recall Snoop Dogg.
Yes, sir. That's actually a funny situation. I was working for a limousine service at the time, Action Limousines, and because of my affiliation with the nation and my skills, I was always a preferred driver whenever celebrities came to town. So when Snoop came to town, they put me on Snoop. And so after picking Snoop up, one of the first things he said to me was, "Can you find somebody to braid my hair?" So I found somebody, Sister Mildred Muhammad, to braid Snoop Dogg's hair in the back of the limo as we moved around, the city.
That's real.
Yes,
right,
sir.
Right,
yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, you got to stay sharp when you're out the public side.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that was a very interesting, but it was also very funny to me.
Right.
And
right.
Snoop was really down to earth, man. Most of the people I've dealt with have been pretty much down to earth. I've had the opportunity to drive Ice Cube. So many. Public Enemy. Professor Griff, that's Public Enemy. Wow. Eddie Levert, which, you've seen the pictures with
right.
me and Eddie Levert. I had him by myself. Pops is cool.
Pops cool.
Pops is cool. Pops
right.
is cool people.
Yeah.
One of the people that I didn't take a picture with, because at that time in my life, whenever I dealt with celebrities, I didn't want to bother them. I never asked for autographs and I didn't ask for pictures.
Right.
But I had Dionne Warwick for an entire week to myself. I was at her beck and call for an entire week,
right.
and I never got a picture, never got an autograph.
That's standard. That's standard procedure. Coming from the training of the FOI, is that standard procedure not to heckle the person that you're securing
Yes,
for
sir.
autographs and whatnot, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you why I said this, right? There's a film that's being played, and a sister did the film, and it's about Malcolm, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke,
Jim Brown.
and Jim Brown.
Correct.
So they got a scene where a brother's at the door, right? Supposed to be securing them, and so when one of the brothers walked off, one of the FOI, they portrayed him opening the door. "Excuse me, can I get your autograph?" Get y'all hacking for autographs, and I said, "This don't." It just didn't seem right. It didn't look right.
Right.
But my question was, and I don't want to get off track real quick, but I got to go down this road though, bro. And my question was, well, why would they put that image out there and create that narrative to make people think that that's how it's done, for one? And two, why they always want to pit Farrakhan against Malcolm in these Hollywood movies, or what's so important about that?
The brother, the narrative, the Jews that control Hollywood, anything that gives the nation, especially the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, a negative mark on his credibility, a negative look at his history, they'll support that. They'll get behind that, for the most part, anything that's going to show the Nation of Islam in a positive light, they're real reluctant to do that.
So can we really truly get upset with our brothers and sisters, or a black person who falls victim to the will of those who want to cause strife and enmity and hatred towards, say, Brother Farrakhan, and they go along and play that part? Or should we be like, well, we understand they got to get paid, and we understand that they using them, and we understand who's behind it, so...
Well, I don't agree with it. I don't think it's necessary for us to get upset behind it. I don't agree with it, and I think that's something that should be made known. Of course, same thing with rap music today. There's a lot of brothers and sisters putting out positive music, but because they don't control the distribution of it, those who distribute the music are only going to distribute the negative stuff, the stuff that's destructive to the minds of our people. So because they want to get paid, they're going to put out the music that's going to get them paid.
That makes sense. Now, you have a celebrity, right?
Right.
And you walking through a crowd of people, right?
Yes, sir.
And how do you navigate and keep the people away and stay focused with all that energy and people, reaching at them and
real
whatnot?
Easy, by keeping yourself calm, keeping yourself poised. Now, this goes back to the mental self-defense aspects of it. You got to keep a calm mind, when you're out, because you got to be able to absorb, everything that's going on around you. You can't be so rigid. If you're rigid, that means that, your mind is focused on something rather than absorbing everything around you, and so that's, you can't get caught up in what's going on around you. You want to pay attention to what's going on around you, and whatever appears to be a potential threat or potential danger to whoever it is that you're securing, then the objective is to remove them from that scene.
And you can kind of can feel who would be considered a hostile.
Yes.
By what their actions, what they say.
By their actions, even a look. Of course, in our community, everybody's mean mugging. You just want to pay attention, but you can definitely, tell from a person's movements whether or not it's an aggressive move or whether it's just, a cordial move. So and that comes with training.
Right.
That comes with training. But a lot of us who come from the streets, we know this from the streets.
Right.
We know how to read people from the streets.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's just a part of our lifestyles growing up.
Right. Now, is there any difference from, saying, securing a celebrity or someone running for political office?
Oh, of course. It's a lot different, because the difference between a rapper and someone running from political office, there's the individual who's running for political office, you don't have all that commotion. They're a lot more disciplined, and they understand why you're there. Now, some of them can do some things that you wouldn't, you would probably prefer that they don't do. But when you got people who are so friendly and they want to reach out to everybody and they want to shake hands with everybody, even though you may see something that they don't see, and because they don't feel like they have enemies, as in the case with the gentleman that ran for governor. First thing he told me when I interviewed for the position was, I don't have any enemies, and I reminded him, well, they killed, and because he was also Muslim, I reminded him that they killed the president of the United States in Texas. So whether you think you have enemies or not, there's enemies there.
Well, right. Wow. And with the rappers, enemies is common.
They, you got some rappers who don't draw that kind of attention to themselves. Those are the ones I like to work with. They just come in, they do what they got to do, and they get out. But then you got those that want to go to the club and make a big scene. They want to take the huge entourage, and they want to do all kinds of things with these women, and they want you to stand by and watch them and make sure nothing happens to them while they're doing it.
Right.
And then of course, coming from where we come from, that's a very difficult thing to do.
That's right.
To stand by and let a brother abuse a sister in front of you,
right,
even if you're working for him.
Right.
So, that's when you have to make up your mind. You either gonna stand on what you believe, or you gonna stand on the money that you're trying to make.
right. Yeah. I mean, in this world, and the imagery that's put out, that they promote, as you stated earlier, as far as these distributors and record companies, as a certain image that they want to put out to portray, because they feel like it sells better. And if sometimes people feel like, well, I gotta be this in order to get paid, but fail to realize that if the music is good and the talent and the art and the skill is there, people will participate and purchase your songs regardless. I mean, we can go back to 70s and...
Well, let's just take it from what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. If you set a clean glass up beside a dirty glass, people are going to take the clean glass of water every time. And you look at the early 90s, 1989, 90, 91, 92, there was a whole lot of conscious music that I guess it was an experiment from the distributors and the record labels at that time. They were putting out a lot of, Who's the Man with the Master Plan, Rakim, Poor Righteous Teachers.
Come on.
All these groups had their time to shine.
Right.
But then the results from that was too positive for the agenda that
at the time, right.
And the agenda that's still going on, which is the destruction of black civilization, the destructive of black minds. They say that there was more black people enrolling in college during that time than in any other time. Right. That's because the music was encouraging. You had our people walking around with African medallions. You know what I'm saying? We were very proud to be black at that time.
Right.
And so there was a meeting, I don't know how true it is, I'm sure you've heard about it, where they decided that they were going to turn things around, and they were going to start promoting groups like NWA and, Uncle Luke down in Florida, and, they're just going to turn the direction of rap music into something that's going to be more destructive to the minds of our people.
Yeah, Too Short spoke on that, how they promised him he could do a positive album, but they want him to put out, this real filthy album.
Right.
And when it was time, they found all kind of reason not to let him do the positive album. He spoke on that.
Right.
But you said something, and on my shows and in this documentary, we got a wide viewership from different races of people, right?
Yes, sir.
And you said the name, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right? Can you speak on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to show his benefit for all races?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, first of all, you look at what he's done for black people in this country, right? The Nation of Islam, the foundation of the Nation of Islam, were brothers and sisters who come out of the streets. Now, if you taking the least in society and cleaning them up, turning them around, making them responsible, respectable, caring mothers and fathers, business oriented, that has a positive effect on society. You know, just that alone. You know, we don't have to go into the teachings, but just what he did for black people. And there's nobody in the history of America that has reformed more black people than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay, exactly. But let me ask you this. What's the benefit for Caucasians in knowing their true history?
Well, everybody should know their true history. You know, the problem is that most Caucasians are like vampires. And I say they're like vampires because we see it all the time. You know, whenever a black person begins to run off the history of our relationship with black people, they get so defensive, you know. And I call them vampires because, like the vampire or the Draculas in the movie, whenever they see themselves in the mirror, it's they can't stand it.
Right.
So whenever we throw their history at them, they become vampires. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
They don't want to accept it.
Right.
You know, but it is the truth.
It's the truth.
It's the truth that hasn't been taught to them, you know, and it's the truth that hasn't been taught to our people.
Right, because just recently, a 9-year-old female was sprayed with pepper spray.
Right.
7 officers, majority white.
Right.
And when you say, what type of individual could spray a child in the face
Devil.
with pepper spray?
I'm going to say it just like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. You know, he said, you know, the white man is the devil. And you're not going to find a devil under the ground that can defeat his devil above the ground. You know, and so those individuals, they have no care, they have no concern for our people. And it's not all of them, talking about the police officers.
Right.
You know, it's not all of them, but that's the way they see us, that's the way they view us. And it's becoming more heightened, and it's more expressed, not only because we have cameras now and can see it, it's always been here, but it's the time.
Right.
It's the time.
So they don't see us as their equals.
Well, you know, and it's interesting that you say that. Why should they? You know, because how can you be an equal when you're still dependent on them for the things you need to sustain yourself? It's like, if you my equal, that means you have what I have. I mean, as a human being, okay, I could see you as an equal. You got, you know, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, just like I do. We're equal physically, but in terms of economics, in terms of education, in terms of the things that, you know, we have acquired as opposed to what you have acquired, there is no equality. Our people are still dependent on white people to do for them what we could do for ourselves.
Well, how do we close the gap? Is it, you know, because during slavery time, since we weren't allowed to read or write, and they put that law in the books, and then they went in and taught us the knowledge that they wanted us to have.
Yes, sir.
Then how do we close the book? Can the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad close that gap?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why so many of our people running from what's afraid of then?
Well, what you just said.
Oh, because
the education that was given to us was to turn us away from teachers like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his message, and, you know, because they don't want us to accept the fact that we are who we are. We are who he said we are.
Right.
You know, they don't want to see us come up, because our rise means their fall. It's going to happen anyway.
Cream rise to the top.
Exactly. But they're going to do everything that they can to suppress, you know, us knowing who and what we are.
That's why they give us the same individuals when Black History Month come around.
Exactly. They never speak of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Never speak of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
You know.
And that is Black history. And a Black history with a teaching.
Yes, sir.
That you can read and study.
Well,
and that'll benefit your life.
Okay, let's just take black. You know, is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that caused black people to fall in love with being black.
Right.
You know, before that we were Negro, we were colored. Right. No, he said you're black. But the problem is that now everybody wants to lean on the term African American. We're not no damn African American.
Right.
You know, and
Okay.
you have the Moors who say we're not even black, we're Moors. And bottom line is they have accepted black as being a color. Black is more than a color. Black is where we come from. Black is the essence of all that there is.
Triple stage darkness, when the God created himself at that time, there was no sun, moon. It was just that blackness, or that
It is the
that
origin.
dark melanin.
Blackness is the origin of everything.
Everything, right? So if you have melanin in you, I don't care from the lightest of lightest to the darkest of the darkest. In this society, you black.
You're black.
family.
According to what they say, if you got one drop of black blood, you're black.
And you ought to know you are from the way they treat you.
Exactly.
You go back and look at all these police brutality shootings. They done killed every shade from mulatto to the darkest of the darkest. They didn't see no in between.
None, and they're not going to. And it's not just it's not just us. It's people of color per se. You know, but the difference is that it's the people of color who were born and raised in North America. You know, you don't find Arabs in the news being beat by police. You don't find Asians in the news being beat by police. You know, you don't find a whole lot of Africans in the news being beat by police.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's only those of us who were born and raised in North America.
That's right. That goes through it.
Yes, sir.
Even though racism is global, but the physical brutality.
Yeah, here in America,
and the murder
is directed toward black people from America, the Latino community from America, primarily.
That's right. Yeah.
Primarily.
That is right. All right.
So I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I do and I don't. But well, I think, you know, it's mentality, it's culture, you know, because I think if we get away from focusing on so much, it's like, you know, the saying, man, it's the struggle. You know, you got to be about the struggle. You know, the struggle is this, the struggle is that. You know, we've made the struggle kind of like an award, or as, you know, when you talk about the struggle, you talk about it in such a way that, you know,
right,
it's something to be praised.
Right. I'm proud. I'm struggling.
But
right.
That's where I'm getting to. So when you say this, and you say this over and over and over, it's about the struggle. It's about the struggle. Notice that it's the people who say it's about the struggle. Those are the ones struggling.
Right.
The people who are not focused on the struggle are the ones that's not struggling.
Right.
You see, that's
right.
The words that we use are very powerful, and we are programming ourselves to struggle.
Right. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's a fact. But look, let's go into the classroom, because I want to get more in depth on the mental self-defense.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, Brother Nasiir, dealing with mental self-defense, right, which is a powerful title of mental self-defense, because the mind plays a big part in your actual physical attributes. And so the term mental self-defense, can you explain in depth what is mental self-defense, just so that people can get a understanding of it?
Right. Well, you know, when people hear the term self-defense, you know, naturally they think about martial arts per se. They think about kicking and blocking and things of that nature. But the main, or your first line of defense, of course, is the mind. You know, and taken from the main principle of Tai Chi, which says the mind is the primary actor. You know, I thought I would use that as a way of, I thought I would use mental self-defense as a way of encouraging people to pay more attention to the thinking aspects of being able to defend yourself. Because like I said, it starts in the mind, and the way that it starts in the mind, it starts with understanding the environment that you're in, understanding the people that you're around, being able to observe situations and see things occurring before they actually become very dangerous. And so all of that deals with this. It ain't got nothing to do with hands. It's just being wise enough to see the signs before you have to get to this, because this should be your last resort.
Right, but see that's healing though, and the reason why I love that mental self-defense so much is because we as a community rarely do we go out and seek mental counseling.
Correct.
Or any type of mental help to heal, right?
Correct.
So when we tie in first laws of nature, self-preservation, that's also a form of mental self-defense, right? So as you stated, in certain environments, we always on the alert.
Right.
You walk outside your door, you ready, man. Nobody better not mess with me. It's on. I'm not taking it today, so and so, so forth, right? But when you deal with a mental self-defense mindset, and as you were stating that the objective is to not create a situation where you have to use type of violence or whatnot, but where you can kind of descend or de-escalate.
De-escalate and avoid is the objective, and I think that should be the objective as we move through life. When you look at most people today, there's a lot of emphasis being made on physical fitness, and it should be. But when they talk about physical fitness, they're talking about the body. Very, very, very little do you hear people talk about mental health. And mental health is a serious issue today. And so once again, that was another reason why I gave it the name mental self-defense, because I want people to constantly think about the mind and what the role that the mind plays in being able to defend and protect yourself.
Well, how do you defend your mind? How do you keep your mind, stable when, say, you walk out in an environment and you see guns, or you might have just seen a fight taking place. You just heard somebody got shot or whatnot. And how do you stay sane and defend yourself and defend your mind against certain elements around you? Give an example that I wrote in Consequence, as far as, a child could be walking home or on his way to school,
Right.
pass by a car wash, sees a dead body, still got to go to school,
Right.
still got to learn, come home and whatnot, and go on with their day. Some families could be traveling on the freeway, bruh, and see a bad car accident,
Yes, sir.
body mutilated, and they'll take their child and go get counseling from what they witnessed.
Right.
And in the psyche and that subconscious mind, that plays an effect on the individual, which could cause PTSD or whatnot, because you saw this dead body and you didn't get any counsel from it. You traumatized. You couldn't let go.
Right.
And so you have to hold that within, right? And now you're growing up with that, right? And it sends a shock to you as an individual. And you're growing up with that pain. You're growing up with that trauma. How do you penetrate that person to say, or stop them from, one, leading to a life of violence, because death has no meaning, and two, penetrate to say, I love you, and don't let that affect the rest of your life. To wipe that out of your memory bank, or how to even deal with something like that.
Well, I think, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I think you got to give an individual options, and that individual has to recognize that there is a problem, because until the individual recognizes that there's a problem, no one on the outside will ever know that there's a problem, because like you say, it's psychological. It's affecting them psychologically. And, when we're affected psychologically, of course, that also has a lot to do with why we do things the way we do things. Because there is I would call it a glitch in the system. The glitch is that, I was traumatized when I was a child, and I never, ever got any help for it. And because of the trauma, I'm now doing things a certain way based on how that trauma affected me. And I've been carrying this throughout my life. So you got to give that person options. But the first thing is the person has to recognize that there is trauma, and then the person has to seek, help for the trauma.
Now, I know in your different techniques as far as martial arts.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us different types that you study?
Oh, yes, sir. I started out studying, jokingly, I learned from Bruce Lee.
Right.
12 years old, watching Bruce Lee on the screen, and different martial art movies at the time, then taking what I saw and go back and do it, practice it, practice what I saw. But my first formal lessons was Taekwondo down in Galveston at the YMCA. I did that up until, I was a green belt. And then when I moved to Houston, I got with another school here. And then from there, I became a brown belt. And then left that school, started competing on my own, and hooked up with some of the brothers in Third Ward. And that's when I started studying Kung Fu. Mm-hmm. Back in 1983. In fact, it was November 1983, the week after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. I remember it well. And so, Kung Fu has a lot more different elements to it than any of the martial arts. Because Kung Fu is like the umbrella. And inside Kung Fu, you got all of these different styles, all of these different art forms. And so my first art form was called Long Fist. It's from the northern part of China. In fact, it's referred to as a Muslim art. I didn't know that at the time, but it is referred to as a Muslim art because it's an art form that's practiced by the Muslims in China. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I did a little bit of Xingyi, and then of course Tai Chi, and then there's different other things that I didn't really, not necessarily master, but different workshops like Kali, learning how to use the Filipino sticks, the Kali sticks. I did some Swajai, which is Chinese wrestling. Going back to Taekwondo, one of the things that our instructor taught us was also wrestling, how to throw people and things of that nature, because he taught judo. Okay, so just a few things.
But it has to have discipline.
Oh yeah, the discipline is not just in the arts. The discipline is within life. Discipline only means focus. Being able to focus on your objective and not allow distractions or too many things to keep you from reaching your goal.
Interesting, bro. Now, even the breathing you have to do, right? And then it's also getting you in shape as well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm thinking that could have been an ancient, going all the way back to Egypt and past Egypt, as far as fighting skills, right?
Oh, absolutely. China is attributed with the martial arts, and it had been for so long until, the internet. So, but honestly, it all originated from us. You've got pictures of Egyptians on the walls of the temples in Egypt practicing what looks to be, martial art forms. fighting skills.
Because what I'm trying to get at is that the method in what you coined mental self-defense, and going back to that child that was traumatized through those, if for lack of a better word, of rituals as far as breathing and techniques and discipline could be used as a healing mechanism.
Absolutely.
Versus what they would deem as the
Destructive.
not what destructive, but the clinical form that people say you have to go sit on the couch and sit and talk to this therapist and then spill all your business and your feelings on the table.
Right.
Well, then we have another method
And exercise.
that can bring the same benefits
Oh, absolutely.
and cure that traumatization that may be laying dormant within.
Well, that's why the military prescribes meditation and yoga for veterans who, deal with PTSD and anxiety and other things. They just recently started promoting Tai Chi back, I think it was November of 2020. The VA, from what I read, began introducing Tai Chi as a form of healing for veterans. Now, I don't know for sure, and I'm going to go on record here, and this will be the first time I've said this publicly, but I think I'm the reason for the VA taking an interest in Tai Chi, because in 2017, for 1 year, my goal was to introduce Tai Chi to the VA because I knew the benefits and the healing benefits that veterans could have from it. And so at the VA facility down on Fannin, there's a group called Veterans in Action. I was able to get some of those veterans to participate in a class I started, teaching Tai Chi twice a week for free for 1 year. And this was my pilot program to actually work with veterans so that I would have not just me saying that it's beneficial, but I would have live bodies, people who are experiencing some of these things, give their account of how Tai Chi benefited them. So I did that, and I presented a package to an individual at the VA. And as far as I know, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, when I started that class, there was nobody teaching Tai Chi to veterans. But now, on a national level, the Veterans Administration is introducing Tai Chi.
That's amazing, because the healing power that's in Tai Chi, and I personally know that you teach Tai Chi.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, you were teaching my young.
Yes, sir. The main principle of Tai Chi is that the mind is the primary actor, the body the secondary. And it's that principle that I introduced into the self-defense. Everything starts with the mind. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, everything starts in the mind. All these ideas for inventions, everything is mental. But we're not taught to focus on the mind. Right. Going back to the example of people in these fit gyms and things of that nature. Yeah, they're working on the body, but how much are you giving to the mind?
That's right.
It's not enough emphasis.
That's right.
And so working and doing Tai Chi forces you to pay attention. It creates the focus, it creates the mental clarity, and there's a lot of other health benefits from doing Tai Chi. You mentioned breathing, coordinating the breath with the movement. It teaches you not to exert more energy than necessary.
Right.
Whenever you're trying to accomplish something, because oftentimes we give too much energy to stuff.
Yeah, and that's the problem. See, and I'm glad you said that, because we have to implement these into our everyday lives and practices.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't get involved in Tai Chi and other forms of healing because, one, they're not aware of it, don't have the knowledge of it, or they don't see themselves on TV doing it, and they think it's for other races or other people.
Yeah, that's true too.
But the main goal with anything is to extract the good out of it.
Exactly.
Get the benefit.
In fact, the meaning of Tai Chi is grand ultimate. Okay, now if you say Tai Chi Chuan, it's grand ultimate boxing. So you got grand and you got ultimate, which means that this is the highest form of martial arts there is. You see, so anyone who, and I am not saying I'm at that level, but anyone who is able to master Tai Chi and the sensitivity of Tai Chi is a very difficult person to defeat.
Do you give private Tai Chi training classes?
Yes, sir.
If somebody wanted to hit you up and say, you know what, I want to get my mind right, and also defend myself, how would they reach you?
You can call me direct, 346-300-7341.
There you go. Heal yourself. This takes away all excuses because there's avenues and routes that you can personally go to heal yourself, because in this particular dispensation in time,
it's necessary.
It's necessary, and it's on you.
And that's why I focused on teaching Tai Chi and self-defense, because recognizing the time, like we were saying earlier, time dictates the agenda.
Time dictates the agenda.
And when you recognize that we're living in a time where black people are at war, and we've been at war for a long time, and you realize the stress that's involved in trying to survive out here. Well, so if you learn how to defend yourself and then use another method like Tai Chi to learn how to relax your mind, get rid of the stress, get rid of the anxieties, you'll be more balanced, because now you're preparing yourself, your mind mentally, to deal with the stress, and it creates the balance that you need.
Oh man, that's wonderful, brother. Look, I thank you for being on the show, and all of you all that are watching, take care of yourself, be proud, and love yourself. We out.